guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a life update video. I'm basically going to be walking you guys through why I've been gone, a little bit on my labor story, some advice that I have accumulated ever since becoming a new mom, and some things that I just wanted to share with you guys that I dealt with through my pregnancy and then postpartum and during my delivery. It might not be super in-depth. I'm kind of all over the place, especially because midway through the video my son woke up, so I was just kind of focusing on finishing my makeup so that way I could take care of him. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure that you guys give this video a thumbs up if you guys enjoy it, and let's jump right into it. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna quickly just spritz my face with a little bit of Max Fix Plus, just because my skin has been kind of dry, and then I'm going to go in with my moisturizer. But really quickly, I'm just going to go in with my Max Fix Plus. Oh, it smells like coconut. I'm going to be listing all the products down below, but for the meantime, I'm not really going to tell you guys what products I'm using, just because I strictly want to focus on the subject of this video. Okay, so I'm just going to be applying some Aquaphor to my lips to moisturize them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyes first, but I did do the Max Fix Plus just because I like a little bit of a mist to keep me kind of hydrated while I'm like doing everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grab my pencil brush, whatever pencil brush I have at the moment, and honestly doesn't even matter. I'm not very picky about it. I have here the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. I'll just quickly show you guys. It's a great brow pencil. It has a very fine tip, as you guys can see. Basically, actually I've been liking to clean up my brows before I go in with the product. That way I'm not like overfilling them. So I'm going to grab this AOA 115 brush, and I'm going to go ahead and carve out my brows. So basically, around Thanksgiving, I felt really sick, but I didn't really think it was anything crazy. I mean, obviously, I wasn't on birth control, which I definitely recommend that you guys look into birth control. There are so many types of birth control. If you don't know when you're ovulating and you're just someone that doesn't like to use protection, I didn't realize how many options there were until now that I've gotten pregnant and they keep asking me what kind of birth control I'll be considering, since, especially because the lady was like, you're super young, you're probably not going to want to get pregnant anytime soon. So I'm literally just carving out my brow, and then I'm going to go into the brow pencil and just kind of fill in any sparse areas. So yeah, but I'll go into the birth control and all that shit in a little bit, because I want to like speak more on it. But I've always had like a lot of struggles with my health, like not anything major, but as far as like nausea and like not being able to tolerate a lot of foods. Like, I'm not allergic to anything, I just don't have a very strong immune system, so it kind of sucks. But I mean, it is what it is. I've never really liked taking a lot of medicine for it, because oftentimes it just doesn't really work for me. Like, a lot of the times the medicines don't end up doing what I want them to. They don't end up working, and I end up puking, you know. So I just kind of let my body do what my body thinks is best. If I feel the urge to puke, then I'll puke. So yeah, I just felt kind of sick at that time, and I just thought like, oh, okay, it's probably because of the fact that I haven't eaten very well. And that's what I thought it was. So I just kind of didn't really think much of it until I woke up the next day and I had a super bad fever. I was not feeling very well, and I just felt like my blood pressure was very, very high, which is not a good thing. And I actually struggled with that through my pregnancy, which is not good at all. If you guys want to buy, like, if you guys struggle with blood pressure, I highly recommend you guys buy some sort of like blood pressure machine to check your blood pressure constantly, because it can actually lead to preeclampsia, which is actually when you can go through a lot of risk. I went into the ER the day after Thanksgiving, me thinking that I was going to be able to be going Black Friday, you know, like I woke up that morning feeling like oh, I'm gonna feel a lot better, whatever. This is just like a minor setback and I'll feel better the next morning. But obviously on Black Friday, I still felt like complete shit. So I go ahead and I go to the ER, and they take me in pretty quickly once I tell the girl like my symptoms, and right away they're like, you know, right away I forgot what the girl had asked me, but they had basically switched me into like 2 different rooms, and they had took a bunch of urine samples, and I was there for about 8 hours. Towards the end was when finally, after taking out blood and everything, was when the girl was like, I don't know if you're aware, but you might potentially be pregnant. It's a very early stage. Like, it was super early still, that not even like a pregnancy test would be able to tell me for sure. So they kind of just sent me for an appointment a couple weeks later, which was at a women's clinic, which is when they finally told me like, yes, you're 7 weeks pregnant. So meaning that I was pregnant around like the end of October. At that time I was completely fine. Like, up until then I really thought like, oh no, like I didn't even realize that I wasn't getting my period, because I was always so dependent on being so regular. So when they started asking me like, when was your last period, was when I was finally like, well, now that you mention it, I don't think I've been on my period for a while now. Which obviously was a quick indication to me that it was gonna be a baby, because my period has always been super regular. I haven't really struggled with that. So when they finally confirmed that I was pregnant, it literally worked like clockwork. I just felt like right away I got nauseous. Like, I went from being completely fine and struggling a little bit with the nausea, but until they finally confirmed it, I was just vomiting. Like, before that I was just nausea, but as soon as they confirmed that I was pregnant, I just started barfing up everything. No matter what I ate, I would always end up throwing up, which completely sucks, but it's just something that you deal with as a pregnant woman. You're gonna get nauseous. If you don't, great, but I've seen most women deal with it like in their first trimester. I dealt with it for quite a while. I want to say like maybe a little bit more than my second trimester, but I pretty much was prescribed medication because I was losing a lot of weight, because I wasn't holding any food down. So they did end up prescribing me some medication. It ended up working sometimes, but I would also miss a lot from work because I just felt like complete shit, and I didn't know like what the hell was going on with my body, how to control it. Obviously you can't take like, you know, the medications that I would take before, or like the remedies that my mom would recommend, because I was pregnant, and obviously not everything is safe while you're pregnant. So that was freaking crazy. But you know, I dealt with the nausea, and I dealt with the vomiting, and I ate so much food that I loved. And afterwards, some of the food I ate once I felt a little bit better, and you know, I tolerated it, and I still really enjoy it. Like, McDonald's was something, I threw up nuggets, and if you guys know me, I love McDonald's, but for the majority of my pregnancy I was eating like salads and just like really light stuff because I couldn't really tolerate, and it's not good either. I highly recommend you guys keep a pretty good diet during your pregnancy, because it's a lot harder to lose the weight if you just start eating whatever you want, and it's just a lot better for you and your baby. So once they practically confirmed that I was pregnant, once I was going through all the symptoms, it really did suck. Like, I didn't really have a lot of motivation because I always felt like shit. I would always want to film, but by the time I was done filming, and also guys, like, you're so out of breath, it's insane. Like, I could barely breathe. I was always struggling to breathe, especially because my baby around the, like, was so much on my body on any pregnant woman, but like me, I was gaining so much weight. I had never gained that much weight. Obviously I was growing a little baby inside of me, but still, like the fact that I was carrying so much weight, there was so much pressure on my back, and he would also always be rubbing against my ribs, so I couldn't breathe. It was very uncomfortable. I like that I can breathe now, but I still feel like I'm struggling a little bit, and it's probably because I haven't been eating that great. I really need to set my game up and like start like eating a lot healthier, and drinking a lot more water, taking my vitamins and stuff. But right now I feel like, well, my baby's about to be 3 weeks old on Saturday, so I'm still kind of getting the hang of it. I'm trying my best, but that's also something I wanted to get into, is that you don't bounce back right away. It's not the same for everyone. A lot of women have really great genes and they look like they go back to their pre-weight before pregnancy, and they go back to their body and they look amazing and they look like they were never pregnant. But then there's other women that struggle a lot more, and I just want to let you guys know that it's completely okay if you don't look like you want to right away after pregnancy. You just need to take care of yourself very well. Prioritize yourself as well. Give yourself time. I know it's very hard if you're just like a single mom, and my heart goes out to you guys that are single moms and you guys don't have a lot of people that help you. Luckily, I have brothers, I have my boyfriend, I have my parents that are very attentive with my child, and whenever I just feel like having a break, they're willing to help me. You really need to take care of yourself, especially if you're pregnant, because at the end of the day, the baby's relying on you 24/7. If you're not okay, they're not okay, and they're in your belly. So yeah, I just feel like a lot of women always put like, oh, like do this and do that. Doesn't work out for everyone. Not everyone has the same experience. Now, as far as my labor, I was technically only in labor for like 6 hours, and this is how it happened. So like I said, I had a lot of struggles during my pregnancy, but towards the end, now I was convinced that at 39 weeks or 40 weeks or maybe mid to 40 weeks, I was going to have my baby. Like, I was convinced that this baby was going to be so ready to get out of my belly. However, I ended up being one of those women that had to be induced, because my baby was actually 40 weeks and 5 days, technically 6 days, because it was about to be a week the day after he was born. So yeah, I went into my doctor visit that day, the day before I ended up giving birth, which was August 2nd. I ended up going into my appointment, and I just felt like really like shitty. Like, I wasn't feeling that great. But I just thought it was normal. I was like, you know what? He's always rubbing up against my ribs, but I just felt like my blood pressure was super high. But I always dealt with that, so I didn't think it was anything like abnormal. So I go ahead and I go into my appointment, and right away my nurses are like, you know, your blood pressure is kind of high, so we might need to take a urine sample. And I was like, okay. So my doctor comes in and she's like, it's not really that great that your blood pressure is so high, because of the fact that it can lead to preeclampsia. So she's like, I'm gonna go ahead and write you a note so you can go immediately after I end up giving you your discharge papers to the hospital. She ended up checking me, measuring me, checking the baby's heartbeat, telling me that I was gonna have my baby that weekend, but she wanted me to go to the hospital because it just wasn't right, and she didn't want to risk anything. You know, she didn't want to risk me having anything going wrong with my baby. So she gave me a no. She told me to go immediately from my visit to the hospital, to not get anything from the house or anything. Now, at the time that I went to my last appointment, my boyfriend wasn't with me. It was only my mom, so I really wanted him to be there in case anything ended up happening to me. I didn't want my mom to like drop me off at the hospital, me be by myself, because anything could have happened. So I ended up going to Chick-fil-A because I was like, if I'm going to go into labor, I want to make sure I ended up getting something in my stomach. I ended up going to Chick-fil-A, getting something to eat, and then I come back home, pick up my boyfriend, get the hospital bag ready, and then I end up going to the hospital. As soon as I'm in the hospital, they end up checking me again for my blood pressure, and they end up telling me that, you know, like basically at this point I would be induced, which kind of terrified me because I really just wanted to have that experience where my water broke, and you know, like what you see in the movies, you want that. Like I wanted that. I wanted my water to break, and you know, for everyone to be so excited and know that he was here, and you know, go to the way to the hospital. Like, you know, like I really just thought that's how my labor was going to be. I was going to feel that rush, and I was going to be having my baby. It didn't work out that way, which is why you never want to get your hopes up and think that something's going to end up working out the way you intend them to, because a lot of the times they're just not going to work out. You're going to end up having something that just comes very unexpectedly. So, you know, they tell me that I'm going to be induced, which at that point I was like, all right, well, you know, whatever is going to help my baby be here and come out and whatever. At that point I wasn't really tripping. I just wanted my kid to be here, and I was so excited to meet him. Obviously you're carrying this child for 9 months, and it never really hit me. Like I knew I was pregnant, but the moment that you're actually going to go into labor and you know you're going to meet this little human being that has been inside of you for 9 months, it's absolutely crazy. It's like you don't even know how to explain it, because it's so exciting, it's so terrifying, it's so nerve-wracking, but it's so worth it at the end. So I end up getting to the hospital maybe about like, I end up going inside my room maybe around like 4 or 5, and they tell me that they're going to give me a little pill, and they're basically going to keep me on trial and, you know, see if I end up going into labor. If not, then they'll give me the pill sometime after, like the next day, and go ahead and see, because you can't take the pill that like often, so they put you on something called a trial. So I end up going, well, they end up telling me around like 5, and then like at 6, and then like they just keep telling me all this stuff about me having to take this pill. Mind you, I got there like at 5, but they didn't end up giving me this pill till midnight. And so I get this pill. I can't get up for an hour because I need to watch the baby to see how he's reacting to it. And at that point, you know, your bladder's already like hella sensitive, so I had to pee so bad. And at 1 I was already like phoning, kept like dialing to my nurse, and I was like, I really need to pee, can I go pee? Because she told me I needed to wait an hour. So I go ahead and she helps me go to the restroom, and then I take a nap after that, and I wake up with the most intense pain ever. And she tells me, like, you know, it's almost 4 o'clock. So by this time when I woke up, it was almost like 3:30, maybe like 3:45, and I was going through it, girl. Like, the pain was so intense. So I end up having my doctor come in, because they check you every 4 hours, I believe it was. So obviously I took the pill right at midnight, and then I had that urge to pee, so I went at 1, and then I took a nap, and then by the time I got up, it was already about to be 4. So my doctor came in and she checks me, and she tells me I'm 4 centimeters dilated. When I first got to the hospital, I was 2 centimeters. So I was like, okay, well, the pill is doing what it needs to do. Like 2 centimeters in, you know, 4 hours. I was like, oh, okay, this baby might take a while to come out. So by that time, like I said, and by the time that this was going on, my mom and my dad had gone home, so the only person that was with me was my boyfriend. So they tell me at the time that I was 4 centimeters dilated, like, okay, the pill's doing what it needs to do, so it's up to you if you want the epidural now or if you want us to give you the IV. I knew from the get-go that I didn't want to get the IV because my doctors, my nurses, everyone was just telling me that the IV was just going to make me and the baby more sleepy and prolong the labor. And I was just trying to have this baby out because he was already so overdue at this point. Like, he was going into the 42 weeks and I just really wanted to meet my son. So if they recommended an epidural and they said that that was going to be the best, I was going to take it. I kind of knew from the beginning, and I know everyone is like, don't get the epidural, don't get the epidural, and a lot of people are like, well, I got the epidural. I commend you if you get the epidural. I commend you if you don't get the epidural. I feel like it's such a thing where people feel like you get some type of reward whichever one you do, or it makes you less of a mom for not wanting to do it naturally. And props to you if you do it naturally, props to you if you do epidural. My thing is, you're going to do the best thing for your sake and for your child. So at the end of the day, I don't really care if you did it naturally or if you did an epidural. I'm gonna root for you because your baby is healthy and you did what you felt was best for you. As a new mom, I've seen that a lot of people critique and are like, you know, we're women, we're supposed to be strong, or, you know, oh, like, you don't get an award for doing it naturally. I just don't really care. Like, I knew that if I wanted to get an epidural, no one was going to change my mind about it, and I knew if I wanted to do it naturally, no one would change my mind about it. I wasn't trying to feel a lot of pain. I can't really deal with pain. I can deal with certain pain, but like very strong pain. And the fact that my blood pressure was already super high, I couldn't breathe, I just didn't want to feel pain any longer. So I go ahead and I tell her to give me the epidural. The person that, well, the anesthesiologist ends up coming in and she gives me the epidural. And because I have scoliosis and my spine isn't straight, I only feel it on one side of my body. Which right there, they tell me, like, okay, we're going to use the power of gravity. And we're going to have to just put you on your side for all the, you know, medicine to go onto that side and eventually numb it. But because when I was on my side, it was only on my right side, not on my left side. When they try moving me over to my left side, the baby does not like that. So they end up switching me back. And the anesthesiologist that I got was so freaking sweet. She would keep coming to check on me because of the fact that she knew that I wasn't being numbed completely. So eventually I end up, you know, getting the medicine over to that side for the short period of time that I was on my left side. And that was, I ended up getting the epidural like around 4. I'm sorry that my story's all over the place. But I ended up getting the epidural around like 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I end up actually like getting the medicine to go over to that side, is maybe like an hour. It's probably like about to be 6, but it's probably like 5:40, 5 something. And my mom is with me at that point. So yeah, I end up getting like the epidural, and before I get the epidural, I'm like calling my mom and I tell her like, okay, they're gonna give me the epidural, so if you want to come now, you know, you can go ahead and come now, because they basically said that once I get it, I can have the baby at any moment. So my mom ends up getting there a little bit after I get my epidural, and which is great because I was holding her hand, because like I said, I didn't get the medicine fully on my left side, so I still felt a lot of the pain from the contractions on that side, and I was kind of just like holding her hand and telling her if she could press the button that gave me the medicine through my back to spread it onto the left side of my body, because they still leave like a little bit of like this tube inside, so you can keep pushing it and it gives you medicine. Like the epidural continues to be distributed in case you need more. So a little bit after that, it doesn't feel like long, but maybe an hour passed. It was 4, maybe it was like 5. So by the end of 5 o'clock, like close to being 6, I feel like a gush of something. And I tell my mom if she can check, and she's like, oh, it's kind of like you're bleeding. Like she thought it was just my mucus plug. So I tell her, like, you know, I keep feeling like more gush is coming out, like I keep leaking something. So she's like, if you want, like I keep leaking liquid, so, or you know, water, urine, I don't know. I can't feel my legs at that point because the medicine was distributed on both of my sides, and my legs were trembling and they were completely numb. So I tell her, like, you know, like, what the fuck is this? So she tells me to call my nurse, and I call my nurse, and my nurse comes in there. My nurse gives me a face, and it kind of makes me nervous, and right away she goes into like panic mode, and she starts calling a bunch of nurses into my room, and she tells me like, okay, well, your dad can leave, because my dad was there, and then you know, your boyfriend can stay and mom can stay. And they told my boyfriend to come onto the left side of me, and my mom was on the left side of me, and they basically tell me like, all right, you're gonna have your baby. So by that time that I felt that gush, my water had broken, and obviously my son was ready to come out very, very quickly, because when she checked, she's like, yeah, like his head's already coming out. So I kind of panicked because I feel completely fine. I have the epidural. I can't feel anything. I just felt a gush, and I was just like, oh, what is this? Am I peeing on myself? So it literally just feels like if you have a plug and it just gets unplugged. Like you can't really control it. You can't control anything. I push and I push and I push, and I have my baby outside, and it was crazy. It was the most intense moment of my life because I was on epidural, my legs were shaking, and I had to put pressure like right in the muscles that you use to like push out your poop, and it was just very hard. But I pushed and I kept pushing, and they all kept telling me like, you're doing great, push when you have contractions. My nurses were all over the place because some would tell me push, 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 and then others would tell me like, push when you have a contraction, or you're having a contraction now. And I'm just like, well, I'm like so focused on like not feeling any pain and just pushing when you guys are telling me to push. I'm not pushing when I feel a contraction, and I couldn't even feel when I had a contraction. She told me I would not feel pain, that I would still feel pressure, but like honestly, I was just all over the place. My mind was all over the place. I was pushing that when they told me that I had to push. So as I'm doing that, yeah, I push, my baby's out, and they start stitching me up. Luckily for me, I was on epidural because they were just putting needle through my skin, and I couldn't feel it because by that time I was already doing skin to skin with my baby. Breastfeeding was hard because he wouldn't latch, and it's very painful. So I definitely recommend patience and to not beat yourself up about it, because breastfeeding isn't just like a walk in the park. It's a lot, and newborns feed so much. They'll wake up like every 2 hours, so you're barely getting any sleep. My sleep schedule is all types of messed up because of this little baby, but it is what it is. You lose a lot of sleep, that's for sure. I'm running on like probably 4 hours of sleep filming this video, but it's fine. I'm gonna grab my little Anastasia blush. If it's scary, it's not really scary. I know that a lot of people ask that, like if it's scary, if it hurts a lot. I would say it's like a very strong menstrual cramp when you first feel your contractions, and they're very hard to feel. I feel like it kind of just hits you out of nowhere. And yeah, but I wouldn't say it's like, I don't know. I felt like what I had was actually pretty smooth, so I can't really complain. Happens very fast. A lot of women, you know, have like very long labor, so I was kind of happy that he was out so suddenly. Because the fact that it happened so quick, it didn't really give me like a lot of time to like panic. I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit more of that mist. Just to kind of set all the powders in place. So yeah, alright, so now that I'm done with my blush, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do my lower lash line. And I'm just gonna be taking, if you guys are wondering, I'm using this palette that I made, and it's all Makeup Revolution eyeshadows. Yeah, I'm just gonna take this like dark brown. They do have a lot of fallout, but they're actually really good quality and super pigmented, so I'm pretty impressed with them. I'm just gonna go ahead and run this. My lower lash line. And so I would just say that you definitely like want to enjoy your pregnancy. It's a beautiful thing despite little obstacles that I ended up going through. But now that my baby's here, it's kind of like, it's wonderful, and you know, he's great despite the lack of sleep that I get. My biggest tip to you is, if you're not ready to have kids, they are so cute, but if you're not ready, and no one ever is, so I don't feel like you should beat yourself up about it, because if other people are okay, you're gonna be okay. And like I said, it's just whatever life throws at you, you'll be fine. So it might seem hard now, but we'll make it out. We'll get through it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my Makeup Revolution little highlighter, and I'm gonna take this BH Cosmetics brush to do my nose highlight. Quickly gonna do my lips, just so that way I can do like the rest of my face. I was gonna do a red lip, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use the nude that I brought in here. And I know a lot of you guys have already been asking me to upload a eyeshadow collection video, and I definitely have that in the works. But I'm sorry if it disappoints you guys. It's not going to be like super intense. I still have a lot of palettes, but I also have been cutting down on just like what palettes I want. I haven't really even been tempted to buy eyeshadow. Like sometimes I'll go ahead and I'll be on websites and I'll add eyeshadow to my like cart, but I never fully go through with the purchase, because I'm like, I have so many eyeshadows that it's kind of like I want to use what I have in my collection, and I have so many and palettes that I just really want to use, so I just haven't really been buying any new ones. But if you guys still want to see it, definitely let me know. I'll just do an updated version, and if you guys are down, I can even show you guys which ones I've decluttered and for what reasons, because a lot of the times, and especially on YouTube, I find like people are always like, I want more, I want more, I want, like, you know, you're never really satisfied. But especially now that I have a baby, I can't just like be spending money on like anything, because I have to make sure that my child has anything that might come up, anything that, you know, happens to come out. So I mean, I still have a lot, but I definitely want to focus on what I have in my collection and share those tips with you guys, and just kind of bring out tutorials. Like, I've literally had these Makeup Revolution eyeshadows, and I bought them like late last year. And now every time I use them, you know, if I would have gotten a new palette, I would be so tempted to use something new. But because I haven't been buying anything, I just kind of like shop through my own little collection, and it's super fun. So yeah, if you guys definitely want a video, I will do it. It's something that I have planned, that like, you know, the video, but it's also because a lot of you guys inspired me to, like, you know, like, oh, do a video with this palette, do a video with this palette. So I'm just like, you know, why not? There's people that, like, you're constantly after what's new, but then you have a palette that you literally spent like so much money on, and you're not using it. As far as what I was saying earlier about birth control, I definitely think it needs to stop being something that's so taboo. If you want to get it, I definitely recommend going to see your gynecologist, or going to see, I believe some people have Planned Parenthood that you can go ahead and talk to them. I don't know if they just recommend the pill, so you might want to talk to someone. And if you have like health coverage, I definitely recommend it. Especially if you just have a partner and, you know, they kind of miss their shot, or if you're just someone that wants to be super safe. I don't think you should be ashamed about it. And I feel like birth control ends up helping you out in the long run. And yeah, $50 for one pill. You might just want to go ahead and get birth control. Like I said, it's just better to be safe, especially if you really don't want kids, or you have, like, you know, just for right now, it wouldn't be a good time. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Obviously I haven't gotten any because I don't have my appointment till the end of this month, but if you guys would like a more in-depth video, I would definitely, you know, try to ask as many questions and educate you guys about it. Like I said, obviously my son wasn't planned, and I don't regret having him, but everything would have been better, I feel like, if I was a little bit more prepared to take some actions. Like, I would have prepared more time off with him, and I think I would have also prepared, like, having money on the side. Financial stability is also something that is great to have regardless, you know, and especially when you're, like, gonna have a baby. So yeah, I definitely just recommend that. Babies are super cute, and I know everyone is getting pregnant, and I know everyone is having baby fever, but it's just something that I quickly wanted to mention. As far as that goes, if you guys have any more questions, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I just wanted to kind of make this video because I didn't want to just jump into like a makeup tutorial and act like I wasn't off of YouTube for almost 8 months, and kind of just going through my experience and share some advice. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you guys have anything that you guys are curious to know, or anything that you guys want to see in the future, please let me know. I definitely want to do more content. Make sure to follow me on all my social medias if you guys want to know what shenanigans I'm up to, and you guys can also subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below, and turn on your post notifications so that way you guys never miss out on whenever I decide to upload. I will see you guys all in my next one. Bye.